What's up, wrestling fans? Welcome to episode number 460 of the Smark Out Moment Smack Talk podcast, Hot Tags of the Week, where we'll be breaking down some of the current events, rumors, news, gossip, 50 Shades, Fred, anything. It's an inside joke that nobody gets except for my girlfriend and Rob right now. I love you, sweetie. I am your host, as always, Tony Mango. Robert DeFelice is on the line with me, as always.
Yes. I'm not as excited for 50 Shades Fred, but, maybe that's what Retribution is turning into, because this shit's getting weird.
I've got Caroline next to me. Caroline, say hi.
Hi.
Isn't she cute? I love her. So, what we're going to do here is our normal stuff. We're going to break down anything we feel like talking about. Obviously, more so in the world of professional wrestling, not just about, completely different other things. But we're going to talk about wine. We're going to talk about an unfortunate passing. We're going to talk about a movie on the DC spectrum. We're going to make fun of some names. Talk about an unfortunate injury. We're going to do a wide range of things here. So we invite you to do the same thing.
2020 in a nutshell, right?
Yeah, it's 2020. It makes sense. We're going to talk about the kaiju that popped up. Actually, that's a story going around now. Did you see that thing about the giant robot that Japan's building or something?
Yeah, didn't I send that to you?
Might have been. I don't know. I forget who sent me that, but it's something I came across or whatever. But it's about time,
Let's just go.
We're going to need it. At some point this year, something's going to come down from the sky or where did Cloverfield come out of? The ocean. So we need our Megazord.
By the end of this year, it's going to be a mess, and we're going to have giant robots to help us fight the evil.
Yeah. So if you're a group of teenagers with attitude, get the fuck on this, because you really need to learn how to become Power Rangers. We need it.
Somebody call T-Bar.
That's what Retribution's going to be. Instead of Tyrannosaurus, it's going to be T-Bar. Whatever. Yeah, we're going to make fun of that. We're going to go through all that stuff. So we invite you to do the same. Drop a comment below on YouTube. That's the best way that you can keep the discussion going. Obviously, if you're on YouTube and you're doing that, then ring that little notification bell. Hit the subscribe button as well. Hit the like button on the video. If you feel so inclined, hit the applause button, which helps us out on the monetary side of things, as does the little join button, because when you join the membership side of YouTube, then that's essentially their version of Patreon. And if you don't know the whole Patreon thing by now, you should. Most likely people that are listening to this have heard it 1,000 times, but in case you haven't, patreon.com/smarkoutmoment. If you got $1 or anything higher that you want to toss our way, all that spare change is greatly appreciated, and it helps the channel grow, as well as, the website to flourish out some ideas that I would love to do. And there's not only just the regular $1 tier, but $5 is ad block forgiveness. $10 and up gives you access to the dark casts, which are Patreon and YouTube exclusives. There's also the Pick Your Poison tier, where you can request some kind of a special feature or a gimmick that you want us to do, and mailbag priority, and so on and so forth. So if you're interested, go ahead and take advantage of that. More plugs coming in the future. But if you're listening to us on some kind of a platform outside of YouTube and you do want to join in on the discussion, whether you're on like Spotify or Amazon Music or anywhere other than TuneIn, then what you should do is just send a tweet at SmarkOutMoment, or post something on Facebook.com/SmarkOutMoment, or go to the page on SmarkOutMoment.com.
Yeah.
All that stuff out of the way. All right, let's start getting into this. Let's talk about wine. I am not a wine aficionado. I don't drink at all.
Have you ever had any kind of wine?
I've had some wine. A friend of mine, his family always used to make wine. I think he might still actually make wine. Not too sure, but he made a big point one time. He gave my family a bottle of some wine. It was like, hey, we made this. This was something like, this is a gift for your family or whatever. So I kind of felt obligated. And I was like, well, I'm not a big fan. And that's the same for all liquor. I just don't like the taste of alcohol, or the smell for that matter. I don't really see the point. Never had a single sip of anything alcohol related that I've liked, except for one sip of one thing actually, no, two. Two sips of two things. One of them was orange juice mixed with something. I don't know what. But it was like, hey, taste this. All you can taste is the orange juice. And I went, oh, yeah. That was the end of that thing. And then the other thing was a pomegranate martini that a friend of mine had. And he said, you ever had pomegranate? And I said, no. So he's like, hey, here's a martini. Want to try a little bit? So I tried it for the pomegranate side of things.
So, even in that little bit, I can see that you agree with Marshall, and that fruity drinks are by far
Oh,
better than
yeah. I mean,
yeah.
every bit of champagne that I've ever had in my life, I've thought was just. I mean, I don't even like soda because of the whole carbonation. So liquor is just like really bad tasting, really bad smelling. Ouch! It burns. That's all it is to me. So wine
Uh,
sucks on my
yeah, but
spectrum
like
at the very
I've
least.
had wine and it's really not my thing. I'm not a heavy drinker. I'll drink socially, but I don't need it. I don't understand people who need any substance to function. But yeah, wine.
Well, the reason we're talking about it is because if you go to WWEWines.com, it's a thing. They have two different things they've got going on now. It's on pre-sale. You can get a 2-pack or a 2-bottle mix or whatever like that. They are, for some reason, getting into the wine side of things with Wines That Rock, some wine company. And their decision was, first off, I mean, it's stupid enough. WWE plus wine. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me anyway. You would
It
think,
does if you market it around the right talent.
well, that's where things get even weirder because if you're going to do any kind of liquor with WWE, at first you think, okay, the Steve Weisers and all that kind of stuff that they've done in the past with Stone Cold. Well, Stone Cold had his own beer. Can't really do that. So maybe you get into the wine thing. You ignore the fact that Carmella has her own wine line. You ignore the Bella Twins having their own wine thing. And you just say, let's just do WWE wine. Why would you ever think the two that you should start off with are The Undertaker and The Ultimate Warrior? I do not think, under any circumstances, wine when I think of those two, nor would I ever think wine and then go, you know what this reminds
Under,
me of? The
Undertaker.
Undertaker.
Like,
Or, like Ultimate Warrior. No, that there's nothing wine related about that. You would think that they would go for more like classier type of things
you
or
think they would go with the Bella Twins and Carmella? Like you think they
just
would
a
just
tie-in with those.
yeah, you think they would just fucking do that? I mean, and like let's be real. With this trajectory, the next two names are gonna be Macho Man Randy Savage and John Cena, right?
I mean, they could do Macho and Cena. They, for that matter, they could just go completely random and be like, "All right, our next wine is Akira Tozawa," and
Is that wine?
yeah, they could do like Bastion Booger or something like that. But like, even
Uh,
looking on the roster right now, just a quick glance or something, I'm not thinking of a whole lot of options that I would think wine related.
I
Like,
wish I knew more about wine so I could make like
yeah, there's no like,
podcasts
there's no
about
grape related people on the roster. There's
you
no
gotta think it's purple, right?
like I wouldn't think like Ivar or like I don't
So
know, Rey
what we're saying
Mysterio
is
or something, but
the
like
Galaxy wine will be hitting shelves in time for New Year's.
if they would have had the access to use this person, at least the name Gold Dust, I could see being a wine. Maybe like a white wine with like a gold label on it. I'm having flashbacks of when they decided that they were going to do a line of, I think it was nail polish that was based off of the James Bond ones, where they had decided that for some reason, out of everything that they were going to do, they didn't do Goldfinger. And I was like, that's the most fucking obvious one. It's got finger in it. Like,
And it's
it's
gold.
nail
It's very
polish. Like,
easy.
that'd be like if you did a Bond movie that was called like The Nail Polish Death or something. And then they're like, nah, let's do Die Another Day. Like, I think that,
So
that line was something like On Her Majesty's Secret Service, Die Another Day, Golden Eye, something, whatever, like that. But like Goldfinger, come on. And maybe like Charlotte Flair. Maybe Flair would have been a little bit more for a
okay,
wine
yeah,
thing.
I would be on board with something based around Charlotte Flair.
What about Mandy Rose?
Hire him, like he's
There you
doing
go.
the work for you. So this we're gonna go off on like weird WWF licensed foods. because obviously, like, we know the ice cream bars,
Still haven't
right?
had the new versions of them, have you?
I want to. Yeah, I will spend a lot of money on things. For some reason, I won't bring myself to get that just yet. Um, I'm sending you a link on Skype to these WWF juices that I guess existed in the 90s. It's very odd. They have like the old logo, but I see Kane and Ken Shamrock, and they're like literally the little, you know, little dollar store juices that you get in the Northeast in the 90s.
Yeah, they're like the hugs or something. I think that they're called.
Yeah, and they're so bad for you, but they taste so good.
They just flat out took the SummerSlam logo and just were like, "How about Body
Body
Slam,
Slam,
Backbreaker Blast? What the fuck's that supposed to taste like?
Baja Blast.
I guess blueberry pomegranate is what they say. That's very typical of a male targeted thing, though. Like even like deodorant. What was the deodorant, sweetie? It was like something like degree or something, and it was like clean, like one of those kind of things. Just
Well, yeah,
you go
I'm
to like I don't know, like some perfume thing targeted towards women, and it's like lavender lily fresh something, and then for men it's like what's that drink
well,
gonna be, and it's like Aisher Stone. uh you know
um So they apparently did those again in the mid 2000s because I'm seeing some here with like from Supernatural Sports with Batista and Cena and
Sports
Triple
with a
H,
Z, of course.
of course. They had the WWE Raw Energy Drink, which I always wanted because it was a WWE branded thing, and never got. I'm sure they've had like WWF cereal. I think they did actually. You'd probably That's probably more up your alley.
I don't think that I've ever had a WWF cereal. If they would have had it at a time where I would have seen it, guaranteed I would have been begging my mom to get it or something.
I'm looking at it here. It's WWF Superstars cereal. It looks like cornflakes. Uh,
Cornflakes, really? I would think that they would go more for like Cheerios shaped like stars for like the bulk it out, and then you'd have like a couple shapes of like little rings or something like that. Maybe that's
um,
what you get. Maybe you get Cheerios and they call it the brass ring and nobody gets to eat it.
Jesus Christ. It looks like it was made in '91 because I'm seeing a.
It's a little bit too young for me then at that point. I'm only a couple years old at that point.
Like, yeah,
How many times can I say at that point?
these things fascinate me. I love when they do like
Random ass
weird,
tie-ins.
yeah, like bootios. I thought that was the fucking coolest thing. They had an actual cereal made for the New Day. I'm surprised they never made New Day pancakes. Just like generic,
Just
you know,
frozen pancakes, like
yeah,
like Eggo waffles type of thing.
slap the New Day logo on it.
Yeah, why not? Well, this is apparently, according to somehow, this is like how they're advertising it. The shipping date's October 22nd, just in time for the holiday season. For anybody who wants to get loaded off of Ultimate Warrior for some reason. Uh, they've got all these kind of specifications: unique glass, dynamic artwork. As if you throw the word dynamic in front of it, people are going to go, "Oh my god, I want to buy this better." But it says, "We knew these bottles would look amazing. They don't, by the way, and be perfect for collectors and fans alike. But wanted the quality of the wine to be ultimately the real winner here." Says Wines That Rock wine maker Andrew Nelson. For the Undertaker's limited edition 30 barrel series, we used 100% premium Cabernet Sauvignon. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Sure.
Salvignon, there you go, from Lodi, California, aged in oak. For the Ultimate Warrior, we looked into Mendocino County for a high quality, full bodied, and flavorful Zinfandel. Winos out there, drop a comment. What's this going to translate to? Is that one of those things where you
The
swirl it around your
town that
mouth,
said the
spit it out
fucking
because it's
bottles are
garbage?
glow in the dark.
They're glow in the dark. Is that what it says?
I believe the Undertaker bottle is glow in the dark.
Yep, it says that here. Each bottle is marked with an individual number, and the barrel it came from, hand filled and expertly hand wax dipped using his signature purple color, which he hasn't used
Which,
in
by the way, yeah,
20 years.
fuck.
Uh,
Undertaker hasn't used purple since 1996.
Right.
How did this motherfucker get stuck with purple?
While featuring a unique tombstone shape and glow-in-the-dark label. Maybe the wine's like radioactive or something like that too. Oh, they've got the first two releases of the wines are stellar! Exclamation point. To quote Ultimate Warrior, live strong, act bold, be brave, nothing's too hard to do, always believe. Why is that a wine phrase? As part of its rock and roll tradition, Wines That Rock, they're part of a rock and roll thing, has also produced one-of-a-kind branded electric guitars for both Ultimate Warrior and Undertaker.
What?
Go to wines.com, WWEwines.com for additional details. So this is now even better because now this is a WWE sponsored Ultimate Warrior and Undertaker wine label that also includes guitars. All right. That's the thing.
So, Jesus, for 6 bottles of this stuff, it's going to run you close to $300. Okay.
$300 for 6 bottles?
Yep.
So they're going to try to make up the money that they lost from...
this is probably really cheap. We don't know anything
cheap.
about wines. It's like...
This can't possibly be the type of thing that a bunch of people on, like, some wine tour would be like, this 1962 Bollinger whatever was, I don't even know if that's wine, like that's some amazing thing, but that Ultimate Warrior
Ultimate Warrior.
I really want to know what this stuff tastes like though. I don't want to buy any bottles of it and, do anything like that. Tony, Caroline just suggested we should have it at our wedding. You think we should?
I was gonna fucking say that.
Rob was just about to say that.
We're having it at your wedding. Like,
let's put it this way. If you think we should have WWE wines featured in some fashion at our wedding, Patreon.com/Smark. If somebody hits up that tier that's like the I don't even know what to do with it type of tier, then I'll buy a bottle of Ultimate Warrior and a bottle of Undertaker, and I'll make sure that Dace drinks it. And we'll see what happens.
Oh, wow. You know what's pissing me off here is really Bella Twins, Carmella. Like, why are you not just supporting? If you want wines, you've got superstars that make their own wines. Just do that.
Yeah, this is maybe it's a response to Chris Jericho and the little bit of the bubbly. Maybe they're like, we can do stuff like that too, and then they wait a couple months.
It's more likely that somebody presented them with a mock-up of the bottles, and they went, I love it, do it, we're going to market it, holidays.
Well, that's the thing. If anybody tries it, definitely drop a comment. Tell us your thoughts on how these work out. You're not going to get a chance to taste it for like a month, but if you remember, and if you end up ordering some and you end up getting loaded off of it or whatever, then tell us how your trip went. Let's talk about something. Oh man, voice crack there. Let's talk about something. I'm 13 again.
That's the Paul Heyman effect through the Undertaker wine.
I'm old enough to drink wine, I swear. Let's talk about something that we don't know 100% for sure, but if it is true, and you might know more about this since you were the one who told me about it originally, it'd be really disappointing to hear if that is true. Tegan Nox may be injured again with another torn ACL.
All right, so I immediately heard that this might be true. It's from Rovert on Twitter, and he knows more than...
It's from Grover on Twitter?
Rovert, not Grover.
The fucking Muppet?
Yeah, the fucking Muppet is breaking news now.
According to Fozzie Bear.
I hope to God it's not true.
Yeah, me too.
Like, I told you, and I was immediately like, fuck. Again, a third time? Because originally, it was brought up to me like, Rovert says the Tegan story is true, and I'm thinking, oh God, what now? Like, some terrible behind-the-scenes thing. And they're like, oh, torn ACL, and I just went, a third time?
Yeah.
In like, what, 2 years?
2 years, 3 years, something like that?
I hope it's not true, mostly because if it is, I don't see anything she can do other than hang up the boots.
Yeah, I mean, if you have one injury, you might be done for good. If you have two, that makes that considerably worse. Three like that in the same kinds of areas, you got to start questioning whether or not, if this is true, of course, keep in mind, might not be. You got to start questioning whether or not she just doesn't have the physical ability to do that, just because, you can't keep tearing your ACL over and over again. That's just not good. You can't get to a point where you can't walk anymore. That's more important. So I hope that this isn't true. And I wrote it on the one little thing on the wrestling news. If she is injured, I would rather her be injured in a different way, like maybe
Like
she
her arm or something.
yeah, she broke a finger, or she, stubbed her toe, or, some kind of other thing like that, where it wouldn't be a torn ACL. Because even if it was something more along the lines of she was written off that battle royal match because of a COVID thing or something like that, then at least that would be something she could get over better than a torn ACL again.
Listen, I I'm a fan of Edge. So I understand what it's like to be fans of somebody who's seemingly made out of glass. But 3 times in the same spot, and it just I fear that she's done, and she's too good to be done so quick.
Yeah, and she seems like a really sweet person, so that's obviously you don't want to wish that on anybody, but
But when it's a nice
especially,
person, it's worse.
yeah, then it becomes even worse, because then it's like, she fought really hard to get back from this injury, then immediately got injured again, then went through the whole thing all over again, and then she really only had like a year for the most part, 2 years maximum, I think it's been. And then if she gets down with another injury like that, if you're WWE, you don't put a belt on her because you don't trust that she's not just going to get injured again. So then that makes her career, at best, always having this lingering doubt.
Yeah, she's too good for that. I hope it's NXT like really playing up the drum of the moment and it's not real.
I guess we'll figure that out as the coming weeks or so go. Um,
While we're talking about NXT women, they really named them the Spitfire Warriors, and I'm very mad about that. Like that's such a. Are we
yeah, it's
going
not the
back to
best name
1985?
in some ways.
Like,
1985, 1993, 1999.
it's. I don't know what we're doing anymore.
Well, you know what? Let's get this one out of the way since we're talking unfortunate things. Road Warrior Animal passed away. Legion of Doom is now completely kaput. Not that it was going to have some big resurgence anyway, but
I mean,
like, you figure over the years, at least Animal's been around to do things like Peter mentioned in a tweet. He said about it's good that he was still around to be able to do the Vice documentary. And it's like, yeah,
right?
got that. Like, that's one positive. Now it's just Paul Ellering.
Yeah. Uh, really sad. Really out of nowhere. He's only 60. I I don't want to name names, but
Fred?
somebody said, "Oh, it was of natural causes," and I went, "He was fucking 60. Like, that's not natural." Tony, how old's your grandmother?
96.
Okay.
So, yeah, natural causes. I mean, look, how do you classify natural causes? If it's like, oh, this person died of natural causes because a piano fell on them and it's natural that they died. Like, that's, whatever. But when you talk about pro wrestling, dying at 60, natural causes is almost kind of a thing from that era, because it's just sort of, they used the steroids and it completely screwed up their bodies, and then sometimes some of them were lucky enough to get to 60. That's a
Yeah, is that
terrible
what
thing to say, but it's
classifies this as
true.
a natural cause? Like,
Right.
oh well, he got to 60.
Yeah.
Fuck, like, is that what we're doing here? Is that the low bar we've set for them?
Unfortunately, that's kind of the thing too. I mean, look at how many
That's
people
gross.
are haven't been lucky enough for that. Not that lucky going out at 60 is lucky, but at the same time, it's how long ago was Hawk?
17 years.
17 years? Jeez.
Yep.
So that came out of nowhere. He was set for some appearances coming up. So obviously this wasn't something where he was like, bedridden for months or something like that. So I guess there's some kind
He
of
was
comfort in
celebrating his
that.
anniversary. Like,
Yeah.
it was his anniversary that day.
Yeah. So awful news to hear. Obviously,
Tell people
RIP,
you love him,
condolences, all that
like,
stuff.
life is short. Tell people you love him.
Yeah, same that we do all the time when we talk about this. There's not too much discussion other than that, but we do usually like to say at least like one positive thing. What do you think of when you think of Road Warrior Animal? Do you have any like go to best match or memory or something like that?
I think the Road Warriors tag team, as you can listen to in our tag team Mount Rushmore discussion, is the best tag team of all time in terms of box office draw, in terms of a lot of things. In terms of match, I think more on the NWA side of things, because when I bought their DVD back in like '05, that opened my eyes to like a whole new world of tag team wrestling. And the scaffold matches with the Midnight Express, the chain matches with the Koloffs, like they were so good. But I'd be lying if I said when I think of the Road Warriors, I think of anything but their WWF theme song and their entrance.
There's a lot that I kind of circle around. One of them is just the go-to of Hawk just going, well, because that's always
Oh
one of those
God,
good things.
it's amazing.
I, of
Tell him,
course,
Hawk. Well,
unfortunately, always think of LOD 2000 and the outfit that Sonny wore, because that was right during the time frame where I was just kind of like, as a kid,
puberty, puberty.
right, hitting over the head with that. And I also, unfortunately, also think of the Road Warriors and Ahmed Johnson.
I was gonna say, if this fucking guy doesn't say Ahmed Johnson,
Chicago Street Fight WrestleMania. Because that's deep into the time frame of me as a kid, whatever. I'd never watched like their NWA stuff enough to make that a go-to memory, but I think of the little toys that used to be around at the time. Like those were cool. Not the best toys, but when you didn't have anything else to compare it to, it ended up being fun back in the day in like late 80s, early 90s. And overall, just like the Road Warrior Animal to me is Road Warrior Animal with Road Warrior Hawk, and they've got the red shoulder pads on, coming down to the ring, maybe on a motorcycle, that kind of thing. Not
this is mean, but it feels like the second half of a whole person passed away. Because like really, they
right,
are
yeah. They're a
same
duo. I
thing.
mean, they were intrinsically tied to each other, no matter how many times they tried to move them away. If you
Yeah,
say
they were
Road
weird.
Warriors, nobody thinks Droz, nobody thinks Heidenreich.
I'd be offended if they did.
Yeah, they
I will.
shouldn't at the very least.
I will admit, Hawk was probably the more charismatic of the two, just because for whatever reason he just I don't know, he had that charm about him.
I liked
But
Hawk better as a kid. I
yeah, I
always
mean,
thought that he was like cooler, but
he was funnier, like
yeah, he stood
he
out more.
a little more. Yeah.
Animal was more so the one who was like holding down the fort. Hawk was the one coming in doing some flashy stuff.
And the Doomsday Device is a fucking badass finish.
Yeah, still one of the better tag team finishes.
Yeah.
So,
So, R.I.P.
yeah.
I'm sad that your matches with Demolition weren't better. But I'll go back to that DVD. When I was a kid, I was like, I'm finally gonna see them face Demolition. I've seen these teams in bits and pieces. I want to see this match. What the fuck was that? I was like,
I never liked Demolition, for that matter.
what? Get out of town.
I always liked Crush. Never liked Axe and Smash. Love their theme though.
What? Really?
Yeah, Demolition never did anything for me. Why are they wearing S&M suits?
Because the shoulder pads were taken.
Nah, that's just it doesn't work out for me. Here comes the Axe. Here comes the Smasher. Here comes the Crusher. We're Demolition. Walking disasters. Yeah.
Disaster.
Well, you know what's a disaster? Retribution's names.
Okay.
So now we know the full names of everyone here. So we've made fun of this a little bit before. Let's make fun of it some more because now we have all five. Dominik Dijakovic, Thought there was a problem with his name? Well, now he's T-Bar.
Yeah, he is.
Dio Madden is Mace. Shane Thorne is Slapjack.
Why?
Mia Yim is Reckoning.
That's confirmed.
And Mercedes Martinez is Retaliation. So
that is literally a synonym for retribution.
You mean to tell me that they want to try to advertise matches as something like, check out later on tonight, Liv Morgan is going to fight Retaliation from Retribution? Oh, Retaliation hit her with a clothesline. What the hell? This is garbage. It's so bad.
Right. It doesn't feel right. Like I mentioned this on the Wednesday show. Was it the predictions? Yeah, on the Clash of Champions predictions. I don't hate the names. I hate the fact that they are so out of place. They are egregiously out of place in 2020. And we don't have a John Cena, a Hulk Hogan, babyface to run these dudes off. They're just a weird faction with the names and attire of like Streets of Rage villains. And we don't even have like a cool payoff. Like it's not Hulk Hogan versus T-Bar.
Even that's still going to be lame though. But it's you
but
don't.
It fits the Hogan era.
Right. And
okay, Hulk Hogan, the Legion of Doom, and the Ultimate Warrior against T-Bar, Mace, Slapjack, and Doodah at Survivor Series.
You forgot Yippity.
Yeah,
Yippity and Doodah.
My oh my, what a wonderful day.
But if you look for T-Bar, we talked about this before. T-Bar means nothing. And Dominik Dijakovic has tried to explain why that's his name by just
talk about
listing
Twitter a lot.
He just listed an acronym of other words that kind of mean something like retribution, which did they literally have a list of like 20 names that all sounded the same? And then they just said, can we use these in any way possible? Because T-Bar, if you look for it elsewhere, this is what I come across when I just Google T-Bar. I come up with a restaurant and lounge in New York City. Their dessert menu for the same restaurant. The T-Bar Steak and Lounge. The other T-Bar Steak and Lounge. And then you get Urban Dictionary. And this is what Urban Dictionary says for T-Bar, for anybody who doesn't know. So this is what they should have looked at for anything. Like, remember the Submission Sorority? What's the name of Paige and Charlotte and Becky? And then they realized that was a porn site. Mm-hmm. Well, T-Bar says, when one is wearing a thong/G-string, they sit down and it sticks out and you see a T-Bar. So Dominik Dijakovic is, the top definition is thong sticking out. Now, another variation is sexy toy gay men use in BDSM specifically for rough sex, and then in parentheses, fisting. Then there's a nickname given to the Australian city of Toowoomba by its inhabitants, which if you want to go by the use it in a sentence is, Sarah says ASL, Lee says 17 male T-Bar. Sarah says T-Bar, Lee says Toowoomba. Sarah says, haha, Poowoomba, leaves conversation. So I don't know what the fuck that's all about. Then there's a troll, very annoying and obnoxious, not obnoxious, at times, tries to get nitpicky at details that are beyond the point.
I'm going to stop you there because I think that's the perfect one for how Retribution is actually going about the reaction to their names.
Well, there's also the one last one, which is slang for timeout. To signal this, a person will put his or her left arm in a horizontal position
T-bar, yeah,
and place his or her right arm perpendicular at the forearm of the left to create a T. When your professor is talking so fast that you can't keep up with your note taking, make the T-bar sign and say, T-bar, professor, can you repeat that? So the best case scenario is he's an obnoxious person saying, "Hey, hold on a minute." And the worst case scenario is he's a thong sticking out or a BDSM toy, something about fisting.
Well, uh,
Slapjack, by the way, top definition: the act of ejaculating on one's hand and then slapping another person in the face. Another definition: the action of a naked man shimmying side to side like a washing machine agitator, causing his dick to thwack against his thighs. Then there's a game in which two people slap the shit out of each other until someone either gives up or dies. There's a mixed alcohol beverage, and so on and so forth. So you got a fisting thing, some ejaculate, whatever. Not at all what they want any of these people to be associated with.
okay. All right, let's get into Twitter because this shit has flabbergasted me. How? All right, you're saddled with not a bad gimmick, but an out of place gimmick, and your response to this is to go full Twitter troll.
They are getting
All
like passed on Twitter and everything.
all four of them, because so far Mercedes hasn't changed her Twitter or come out with her new name. But like Mia Yim changed her name to Reckoning. Slapjack
Is
made a
Shane Slapjack Thorne, but the Shane and Thorne crossed off with the strike
but
through.
he's having a good time. He's like, well, Shane Thorne never even did anything on Raw, but Slapjack, he main evented Raw on his first night.
Yeah, and he did the comparison of some YouTube videos about which got more views.
Mace is literally just slamming people for bad grammar.
Which,
But
yeah, that's the best way you want to make your characters get over, right? It's like, oh man, what a heel! They pointed out bad grammar.
but
No,
Dijak is just going all in. Like he's so deeply in that it hurts. Which might explain one of the fisting T-bar thing there. Um, so he he tweeted out, "We're coming for everybody, every WWE superstar, past and present, except for X-Pac,
I
because
thought that was
X-Pac
funny.
is a cool name."
X-Pac gets the pass.
um,
X-Pac retweeted back at him. He's like, "Hey, if I could do anything to help."
uh, the WWE is a disgusting cesspool of greed and corruption, and its superstars will all be obliterated by retribution, especially these two. Picture of Cesaro and Sheamus. There's a new T-Bar in town, and there's no room for confusion. I give them credit, okay? They have steered into the skin, but this is too much too fast.
It's so
Too.
bad. And we talked about how it's funny that somebody very, very clearly really likes The Dark Knight Rises and thinks that Bane is like
Oh,
the
he
coolest
literally
shit.
gets banned.
He literally typed out the same quotes that Bane made, famous from the movie about the whole, you think you were born in darkness, or you merely adopted the darkness. I was born in it. That whole thing. And then they made it a point to point out that Dominik Dijakovic is taller than Tom Hardy. So you got a better feud going on right now between Tom Hardy and T-Bar than you do with, well, I guess the biggest feud is WWE Creative and Logic. But this is so atrocious in so many ways.
So Mia
They
Yim,
really can't possibly say that they're Mia Yim and Dominik Dijakovic and all that, because then they're going to kill these guys' careers.
well, Mia Yim so far has tweeted. She tweeted Samoa Joe a gif of Joe just saying there will be a reckoning, which okay, that makes sense. That is your name. Uh, so in so somebody who proclaims to be an AEW / NJPW guy tweeted at her at Reckoning Retribution at a J greater than Reckoning. Oh, and Dark Order greater than greater than greater than. And Mia Yim simply quote tweeted that and said, "She's not going to sleep with you." Like,
Well, she is right about that.
I mean, but they're just going like full on, like fuck this. We're just gonna dunk on trolls. Um, these clowns should join your great faction, so they could spoil what we're about to do next. I guess that's in reference to uh, Indu Share. Because here's the weird thing about Retribution on Twitter: they're only following each other and Malcolm Bivens. And Malcolm Bivens just keeps going, "What the hell? Why are they following me?"
Is this all going to turn out to be a story about him getting on the bump?
I hope this is all a story that like Nia Jax stole his CD player and he went to a dark place, and that's how Retribution came to be.
I feel so bad for them because they can't say no, obviously, but this can't work out. It's not going to do anything. It's going to be one of the biggest like laughing stocks of the year. It already is for a bad
It's
year.
all right. I'm gonna put you on the spot. Retribution or Nexus?
Nexus, 100% better. No
Why?
question. They were more credible. They actually had names. You followed their stories. You bought into the idea that they were a threat because the leader of it actually won a competition and became like a superstar. Daniel Bryan was a part of it. Better intro from the, strangling people and everything like that. Uh Better name, Nexus. Better theme song because they actually had a theme song.
But we even heard. Do they have a theme song?
No, that's why.
Huh.
So it's like there's no question Nexus is better.
I don't know. I think that in
They
the
haven't even
grand
given them
scheme
a
of,
reason to be Retribution because nothing bad has happened to Mia Yim
you know how
and
they
Dio
could have done
Madden
this?
and all that.
Well, I disagree on that one. Dio Madden has plenty of reasons to be seeking retribution. He got bitched around by Brock Lesnar and did nothing about it, so he has a reason to be angry. Mia Yim does not. Mercedes Martinez does not. And Dijak and
Blajakovic
Shane.
doesn't.
Yeah. The only thing I can see them doing is, well, we slaved away in the performance center after working our asses off for 15 years. But I don't see that enough reason to do cosplay.
Yeah, and wouldn't somebody at some point just go up to Keith Lee and be like, "Yo, what's up with your girlfriend?"
Oh yeah, but like I can see that happening unless they do a weird thing where like Keith Lee is the mastermind. Because then if you do that one simple thing, it's Keith Lee's girlfriend, Keith Lee's friend, and Dijak, and the other last
Three other
two are
people.
who they are. They are who they are, but at least you can kind of tie it together. I don't know. It's
I
weird.
I
It
think
was
it's
hot
just
shotted.
awful.
It was hot shotted. They got Roman, so they dropped them off of SmackDown, and then I don't think they cared what they were doing with them after they got Roman.
Yeah, but they should have just stopped right then. They should have just said, "Oh, everybody's laughing at this. Let's just not make it a thing." Guaranteed, Mia Yim, Martinez, anybody like all of them, all five would have just done better if they just would have been themselves. Other than this angle, this angle's not going to work out.
I do think it will give them more courtesy championship reigns than just being themselves. I think Mia Yim would have gotten lost in the shuffle. Probably still will when this is over, but it'll be a slower burn to that. Martinez, same thing. Dio Madden, I don't think ever had it in him to be a star. Maybe that's why they were, pushing for him to be a commentator.
I never saw him wrestle. I can't really judge.
He's good. Like that's the thing is he's good,
He's
and
tall. He looks like he's got a good look to him. Like
yeah,
I'd
he's
buy
big.
him
Other
being able
people
to
are
beat the
not.
crap out of someone.
I mean, like he's the one guy who they all went. Well, the rest of them look stupid, but he looks kind of cool. You know, T-Bar though, that's hard to come back from. Listen, Mace, okay, Slapjack. Listen, Shane Thorne wasn't going anywhere anyway. T-Bar for a guy who could have been the next big thing is hard to come back from.
Then again, Dolph Ziggler used to be part of the Spirit Squad and a caddy for Kurtwood White. So
My
you never
argument,
really know, but
my argument there is Ziggler was in his 20s doing that, and had time to come back and do more. I don't know how much investment they want to put in people in their mid 30s, even though that seems to be the new standard. I don't know.
thumbs down.
They're bad.
Retribution just getting worse each and every week.
I hope they do something on Sunday. They have to do something on Sunday.
I still
They
think
have
it's going to be that they interfere and it's no contest on the ambulance match.
That's stupid, Tony.
Look
It
at what we're
can't be
talking
a no
about.
contest. I know, but come on, like
The old wrecking slambulance. That's all they care about.
retribution, retaliation.
Let's talk about the last hot tag other than the TV show stuff here. This one's kind of a crossover thing a little bit. Gives me a chance to plug fanboysanonymous.com. If you want to get more into the kind of stuff that we're going to talk about here with DC films and other kind of superhero stuff and just movies in general and TV shows and video games and comic books and all that other kind of stuff. That is going to be over on fanboysanonymous.com. So show some love for that website. Hit up the Patreon for that. Subscribe to that YouTube channel. Fanboys on Facebook and Twitter, etc., etc. So what we're talking here is The Suicide Squad. Not the movie Suicide Squad, but the sequel, The Suicide Squad, which I think is infinitely
Stupid.
dumb. But we know that John Cena is going to play a character called Peacemaker. And now before the movie has even come out or anything, they have announced that he's going to have a spin-off series on HBO Max that's going to deal with the Peacemaker character and probably dive into some other people as well that are in the movie. John Cena as what is essentially, if Captain America wasn't as righteous and just decided to kill people, is what this character is. He's mostly described as he believes so much in truth and justice and all that other kind of stuff that he's willing to kill for it. And I am assuming he gets killed in the movie because they already said that it's a prequel and that, you know, lots of characters are going to die and all that. So I kind of think that we're going to get like a prequel series. Might not be the case. Maybe he lives.
You think it's a prequel and then it's a prequel to the prequel?
Prequel to the original Suicide Squad?
Yeah.
Could be. I think it's going to dive into like how he became, well, because he doesn't have any powers or anything. He's just a guy with a weird ass helmet and a gun. But he owns like his own company. PAX is the name of it. Some iterations of the character have like more like some like religious type of things going on, if I remember correctly. He's not a character that's really well known. He actually isn't even a DC character originally. He's from the Charleston line of things where they, they, what's the word? I'm blanking on this now. Acquired those. So that's like Blue Beetle and The Question and all those. Peacemaker is a character that's not some, there's Batman and Green Lantern and Flash and Peacemaker. So that's why
But
they're
do you think
allowed to use it in this
Peacemaker
movie.
Can become one of those, like, all right, nobody knew Guardians of the Galaxy.
No, nobody knew Guardians. Nobody really knew a lot of these kind of characters when you start bringing them out of the woodworks.
And now it's like everybody loves Guardians and Rocket Raccoon and all that. Like they're huge characters now. You think Peacemaker can become that?
I don't think it'll become like a big mainstream character, but it's definitely going to pop up in more things. You're going to see Peacemaker, kind of like how King Shark has popped up in a lot of things recently, just because King Shark's popped up in a couple things. So the more that it pops up, then the more that you start seeing it.
Samoa Joe, the voice of King Shark in the upcoming
video
Suicide
game.
Squad video game. Yep.
So Peacemaker, I could see being in some like animated stuff in the future, and John Cena playing the part. From what I can tell, seems like a pretty good fit. So,
John
I'm gonna watch it no matter what.
Captain America,
right?
For 15 years. Like I think he was born to play this role.
Yeah, I think that it's gonna work out really well. I don't think that the movie is necessarily going to be a smash hit.
The first one sucked.
I believe more in James Gunn pulling it off. So I think that it's going to be fun. I'm obviously going to see it no matter what. I'm obviously going to watch the spin-off show because it's a thing. I watch every DC and Marvel type thing that I can.
So do you think that at some point in Saudi Arabia, we're going to get Peacemaker versus Drax with James Gunn as the referee?
I'd be down for it.
I mean, he knows both men very well now.
Isn't it weird enough to say that we had all the discussion about Mace and Slapjack and T-Bar and that wasn't a part of the Suicide Squad thing?
Yeah, it is. Ah, God, T-Bar.
So TV stuff. Let's go through this list, see if there's anything all that interesting. I'm looking at Dynamite right now. Miro had his match. That was a
Did you watch
thing.
it?
I kind of went in and out, watched Dynamite. I wasn't super duper paying attention.
So basically, the consensus on Miro is he kind of looked like a pleb. Like he should have been made to look more of a badass. And it doesn't surprise me. It doesn't affect the way I view him. But people were kind of pissed that he wasn't brought in more of a killer role. He doesn't want to be. He's having fun. Sucks for us, but what are you gonna do?
Paige beat Evil Uno. Brody Lee retained the TNT title over Orange Cassidy.
Cody Rhodes came back.
Cody came back. I actually skipped that. I didn't even see that, so I can't really judge about that.
Wow.
I
What
skipped
kind of
like
wrestling pundit are you? You skipped Cody Rhodes returning.
I'll tell you. You know what's gonna get me some flack? I watched the street fight. It's all right.
Oh, the Orange Cassidy.
The best friends one. Yeah.
Okay, so
like
I watched
it's good,
this.
but it's nothing that stood out to me as special from any other street fight that I've ever seen.
So I watched this later. I watched it not a full week later, but
Yeah, I watched it like
after it
Tuesday
happened.
afternoon or something.
Yeah, me too. But I had watched it with my friend who you've seen a few interactions I've had with this person. She's very into best friends and Orange Cassidy, and she described the match as the best match she's ever seen. I take that at face value for her because, she's not me, or I watch like everything that's ever happened. But man, like people blew this thing out of proportion. It's a good match, top
Yeah.
5 AEW match, sure, because AEW hasn't had a lot of events. But people saying like, "Oh, this is what a street fight should be," no,
I'm
like,
not gonna remember any. I mean, I don't remember too much about it already. It's not even been a full week, but like it was good, And from what I had seen of this episode of Dynamite from this week, like there was some good stuff to it, but there was also just some stuff that whatever. Like they couldn't do what their original plan was. They couldn't do the 6-man tag because Archer is one of the people that fell victim to COVID. So instead, they had Eddie
God,
Kingston.
why are we talking about COVID?
Because we talked about COVID every single day, so it's
Okay.
fuck it. 2020 is just whatever. The world's ending, and
real quick, major outbreak at the AEW taping on September 9th. There also was an outbreak on the NXT side of things on September 9th. So there you go, 9/9, bad day for COVID.
Yeah, and that explains some of the stuff with NXT this week too, because we got the Battle Royal was filled with a lot of people that weren't necessarily like names. Some of them names you would recognize if you're somebody like us, where we pay attention. It's like, oh, that's Rita Riaz, but nobody else would really know necessarily. And then some other names that I didn't even recognize at all. Candice LeRae won that, so we're getting Candice against Io Shirai at Takeover, which is just they decided at the last minute. It's just Takeover 31. Just has no name. Doesn't really matter.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
Cool,
Ciampa beat Jake Atlas. They had this whole setup going on with these weird.
We're talking about AEW, but go ahead.
Yeah, but I mean, was there anything else from AEW? Like,
Brody Lee wants a dog collar match with Cody because old school.
sounds rough.
Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley. Did you watch the whole match?
Nope.
I was gonna ask if you liked it, but I liked the fact that it was 2 men fighting. Did you listen to Eddie Kingston's promo?
The one about the beginning of the night?
Yeah.
I think I did. Sounds familiar.
Yeah, okay, he basically said, I'm getting a title match. I've been doing this 18 years. I didn't sell out like Moxley. I personally, I am so over it, Tony.
About the whole like WWE's the entertainment thing and we're rebellion, like
Yeah,
that kind of
and
thing.
I
Yeah.
also like I'll say this right now. Eddie Kingston is phenomenal on the mic. I don't care for that verbiage anymore. I don't care if you're Eddie Kingston. I don't care if you're John Moxley. I don't care if you're Chris Jericho. I don't care if you're Miro. Say something else, please. That was my takeaway from AEW. Go ahead.
We had a weird thing set up by Fandango to kind of make up for the tag teams being a little bit strange. It was Danny Burch and Roderick Strong against Fabian Eichner and Raul Mendoza. Their names were like Fabio, Acne, and
Yeah,
uh,
the whiteboard was funny.
yeah, I like that bit. So Strong and Bobby Fish are going to fight Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan to figure out who fights for the tag titles. Kind of interesting.
Otherwise known as Robert Strong and Billy Fish.
Yeah. Damian Priest beat Austin Theory. Ridge Holland beat Antonio DeLuca, which when I was looking up his name, that's an artist. So, hey, look at that. Something. Then we had the Gauntlet Eliminator match, which consisted of 5 people that might not have necessarily been in it if the COVID situation wouldn't have been different. But Kyle O'Reilly won, and we're going to get Kyle O'Reilly against Finn Balor. So that should be fun.
All for like let's just skip the line. We should just put it on Kyle O'Reilly and just let the Undisputed Era do their thing, because the 4 of them could make magic together and it would make up for a lot of lost people and lost time.
You watch NXT UK?
No, but I'm surprised you didn't talk about the vignette that aired on NXT.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, we're getting some former, at least it seems like, some former NXT champion coming back. And the only 2 that make any sense, really, are Bo Dallas and Robert Roode. I'm hoping it's Bo.
So, I also want to throw Ember Moon in that mix.
You didn't think that it was a guy?
I didn't want to, keep it to just maybe it's a guy. I would like either one of those 3. They're all grossly underutilized on the main roster. I think Bobby Roode could easily come in and just be a main eventer again. Bobby Roode versus Finn Balor, Bobby Roode versus Tommaso Ciampa, Bobby Roode versus Gargano, Roode versus Reed, Roode versus anybody really. You got some money on your hands. Bo Dallas would be fun just because he deserves shit. And Ember Moon did nothing on the main roster.
Well, the NXT UK side of things was Walter beating Saxon Huxley. There he went. Saxon Huxley. There he goes. Heritage Cup drawing. We had just basically Pete Dunne stood there and Sid Scala was like, it's going to be this guy against that guy, whatever. We didn't get any clarification about who the wild card is, but we do know it's going to be a triple threat next week between 3 unknown people to be the wild card. If they include somebody different, the name that I've been hearing is Harry Smith.
He doesn't live in the UK.
No, but I've heard that name rumbling around here and there.
I would like it, but he's still under contract to MLW and doesn't live in the UK. I could see Dunn himself being in it. Maybe they hired Chris Hero back. I don't know who's kind of living in that area right now.
Nobody that I can think of.
They hired Pac.
It's X-Pac instead, though.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And that's a crossover with Retribution. That's how they're gonna get it all working together.
There it is.
I was disappointed that Pretty Deadly beat The Hunt. That's just a thing. I was disappointed that we didn't get a new women's champion. Piper Niven lost to Kaylee Ray. So after all this time, it's just Stoker and Howley.
Yeah.
They're just 2 guys. They haven't they got signed right before COVID, so we didn't really get to see much of them.
Listen, I like Piper Niven. She should have been champion before COVID.
Mhm.
She should have been champion. Was it like Takeover Wales? I don't even think I had moved to the house I'm currently in yet. When did they do that match? Where it was like her and
The triple threat.
Okay,
Her and
yeah,
Tony Storm and Kaylee Ray. That was
yeah. The Blackpool too.
yeah, Blackpool too.
Yeah, she should
Should have
have
happened
won the
then.
belt there.
And now she didn't
Kay-
even win it now, so it's still Kaylee Ray, which
Kaylee Ray is fine. Listen, I like Kaylee Ray in the ring.
doesn't need to be some 400-day champion.
Is she really? I mean, it's
Close
on a
to it, I think.
technicality. On a technicality, though.
Still in the record books.
Eh.
Go back to Raw. See if there's anything we need to talk about.
Let's just talk about. I mean, we talked about Retribution. What else was there?
Yeah, we talked about a lot of this leading up to our predictions for Clash of Champions, so I don't think that we're really missing anything.
Aaliyah happened, and I feel like we need to.
That's right, Aaliyah. She's not just some 19-year-old girl dad kind of thing. That's terrible.
All right, I'm gonna I want to air it out once on the podcast and never talk about it again. Do you have an issue with this angle because she's 19 and he's 31?
I didn't even think about that. I just think I hate this angle. So
because that was the immediate reaction. Why are they doing this? I understand the discomfort, especially given the modern changes, or not changes, but the modern accusations and stuff. But at the end of the day, she is an adult. Her father is clearly on board with this angle. I think we just gotta let it go.
Yeah. Well,
I appreciate them bringing up the Eddie Guerrero thing, though. Took them way too long.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of funny.
Took them way too long.
Other than that, not a whole bunch. I mean, a Shark almost won the 24/7 title. That's 2020 for you. SmackDown for this week.
Did you know that Angel Garza and Andrade are gonna challenge for the Raw Tag Team Championship?
Yeah, we're not talking about those anymore. SmackDown this week, we got a bunch of filler. I don't think that anything really actually interesting happened on SmackDown, except for I liked Jey Uso's promo.
I will say that this is an episode of SmackDown, maybe the first since I've joined Fightful, that we had not a single article go out during the show because it was so
bland.
But the thing is, Reigns and Uso are just doing magic. That story is just too good for such a foregone conclusion of a match.
I'm still digging it though. I like that. That's the best thing. More so than even the Alexa Bliss stuff. More so than.
Did you like the vignette of the older Samoans being like, yeah, when we were at the family tables, Roman always gravitated towards the Chiefs, and he got it. He was always destined to be the chief. And then Rikishi being like, yeah, well, fuck that noise. My son is gonna beat him and be the champion. I like that.
Yeah.
Do more of that. Do more of the Samoan stuff.
Do more of that. Do less of T-Bar.
Any thoughts on Alexa Bliss? Specifically, Alexa Bliss, giving Roman a death glare?
I'm assuming that that's supposed to be that she's, on behalf of Bray Wyatt, pissed and stuff.
I know, but I thought, what a great moment. SmackDown, Roman Reigns said this recently, and I'm sure it crossed your feed at some point. Monday Night Raw is doing fast food cheeseburgers, and SmackDown is doing filet mignon. As far as storytelling is concerned,
for some of it. Then again, you can always burn filet mignon.
That's blasphemy, Tony.
That's happened. Some people would be like, can I have it well done? Can I have it burnt on the outside and whatever?
If you eat your steaks well done, we don't need your support. Unsubscribe. God.
I'm a medium well guy.
Medium
not
rare.
a well. Not a. I can't do rare. No.
What, really?
Nah.
Shocked.
Medium well. Well done's too far, obviously. Any of the rares? Nah, I don't want to be chewing it like that.
Oh no. It's not tough. You just have, you make sure it's very pink.
No, that's so much better than some of the stuff we got this week. But maybe it goes down really smooth with a nice glass of Ultimate Warrior.
I mean, nothing says classy like SmackDown filet mignon. It's a Ultimate Warrior. Is it a red wine, white wine? It's Ultimate Warrior. It's multicolored.
Yeah. Well, that's it. Those are the hot tags. Obviously, drop your
Very
comments.
bland episode of hot tags. I mean, we hope we entertained you, but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
like, content-wise, very bland.
It was a thing. Hopefully you enjoyed the thing. If you like more of the things, keep checking out the things. We've got the Paul Heyman SmackDown podcast coming on next, later on, well, today at this point. And then we've got the Clash of Champions pay-per-view post-show happening on Sunday night. Next week, we'll roll along. We'll get into the NXT TakeOver 31 predictions, the hot tags, the next Paul Heyman SmackDown, next post-show for that. Then the week after that, we're either going to do our AEW roster tier list or the mailbag. Not entirely sure which one's first.
Do the mailbag and then the tier list.
It's probably what we're going to end up doing. But we might switch it around. Kind of depends on what ends up working out better.
Sounds good to me.
What else you want to plug?
Yeah, I have plugs. Well, first of all, Paul Heyman SmackDown podcast on this very feed with myself and Callum Wiggins. Tomorrow is a big one. We're covering the September 26th episode of SmackDown from 2002, which features the Eddie Guerrero and Edge no disqualification match and a triple threat match with Chris Benoit, Kurt Angle, and Rey Mysterio. So great episode, great discussion. Looking forward to hearing the feedback on that. And if you want to see what else I'm doing, you can check me out on Twitter at DudeFelice. On Twitter, Tony, I posted my new podcast schedule, which really only adds the fact that on Wednesdays I will officially be doing the Fightful Wednesday Night War podcast on YouTube. But like everybody's like, oh my God, your podcast schedule is crazy. It's what I do every day. Monday, WrestleZone. Tuesday, WrestleZone. Wednesday, I'm here with you, and then I do Fightful. Thursday, WrestleZone. Friday, hot tags. Obviously, you're listening to that now. And then, the SmackDown, the Paul Heyman SmackDown podcast on Saturdays. So, like, I'm always talking into a microphone. And I thank you all for listening to me talking to a microphone.
Yeah, thank you for listening to me talk as well. If you want to listen to more of my stuff or check out anything else that I got going on, just go to Tony Mango on Facebook and Twitter. Check out A Mango Tree. Obviously, keep checking out smarkoutmoment.com and fanboysanonymous.com. Go to Bleacher Report, wrestling news for those things. And just start clicking around. You know what to do. But that's it for episode 460. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time, everybody. For now, this is another Smark Out moment, and we're being counted out.